There are moments in life when silence says more than words ever could. And last night, while the world slept and distractions faded into darkness, someone could not stop thinking about you. Not casually. Not for a passing second. But in the kind of way that makes a person stare into the quiet and realize their feelings have become too powerful to deny. Something in them shifted when your energy crossed their mind again. Something they had tried to contain, suddenly became impossible to ignore. And what they did in secret afterward revealed more than they will ever admit out loud. Because attraction, real attraction, does not remain hidden forever. It leaks through the smallest behaviors, through restless thoughts, through quiet choices no one else notices. And what happened last night was not random. It was the moment your presence became stronger than their resistance. They tried to distract themselves, didn't they? They tried to stay busy, to focus on something else. To convince themselves this feeling would pass if they ignored it long enough. But the harder they fought it, the more your memory returned. Your voice echoed in their head. Your face replayed in their mind. The way you carry yourself, the energy you bring into a room, the feeling they get when your name appears unexpectedly, all of it came flooding back stronger than before. And suddenly they were no longer just thinking about you. They were feeling you. Missing you. Craving the comfort of your presence in ways they had not prepared themselves for. Don't skip this, because what they did next matters more than you realize. Instead of reaching out immediately, they hesitated. Pride got involved. Fear got involved. Uncertainty whispered into their mind. So they did what many do when emotions become too intense to face directly, they watched from a distance. Quietly. Secretly. They searched for traces of you. Maybe through old messages. Maybe through your photos, maybe through social media, maybe simply by revisiting something that reminded them of you. Not because they were bored. Not because they had nothing else to do. But because their heart wanted connection, even if their pride would not let them ask for it openly. They needed to feel close to you somehow. Even if only in silence. Even if only for a moment. That is what people do when their feelings become deeper than they expected. They seek the person who stirs something in them, even when no one is watching. And while they sat there in that quiet moment, something became impossible for them to deny. Their attraction to you is no longer surface level. This is not fleeting chemistry. This is not simple curiosity. This is the kind of pull that unsettles people because it reaches beneath logic. You have awakened emotions in them they do not fully understand. That is why they act inconsistent sometimes. That is why their energy can feel intense one moment and distant the next. It is not because they feel nothing. It is because they feel too much, and they are still learning what to do with it. There is a reason they cannot shake you. A reason your energy lingers in their spirit after every interaction. A reason even your silence affects them. You carry something they did not expect to find. Something rare. Something difficult to replace. And last night forced them to confront that truth more deeply than ever before. While everything was still, while there was no noise to distract them, they realized your absence has been louder than your presence ever was. They felt the weight of missing what they do not yet fully have. Think about that for a moment. Some people only realize someone matters when the room becomes quiet enough for truth to speak. And in that quiet, they imagined what it would feel like if you belonged fully in their life. They imagined conversations that have not happened yet. Moments not yet lived. Futures not yet built. They allowed themselves, perhaps for the first time, to picture what it would mean if this connection became real. If it deepened. If it transformed from tension into certainty. That thought both excited and terrified them. Because desire is easy when it stays fantasy. But when desire starts feeling like destiny, people panic. They realize their heart is no longer playing around. Something important is waiting for you in this story, because their secret actions last night were not just about attraction. They were about realization. Realization that what they feel for you has moved beyond control. Realization that pretending indifference is becoming harder. Realization that every attempt to suppress this connection only makes it stronger. They are reaching the point where denial no longer protects them. And when someone reaches that point, change follows. Still, they are not ready to admit all of this openly. Not yet. So for now, their feelings remain hidden behind small signs, glances that linger too long, messages they type and erase, random check-ins that seem casual but are not casual at all, sudden mood shifts when you mention other people, curiosity about your life disguised as harmless conversation. Watch carefully. Attraction that deep always reveals itself eventually. It cannot stay hidden forever. A heart under pressure always leaves clues. You may have sensed this already, haven't you? Perhaps there were moments when their energy toward you felt unusually charged, moments when their words said one thing but their eyes said another, moments when you could feel them holding back something they were not prepared to confess. That was not your imagination. Your intuition noticed what their mouth refused to say. Because energy often speaks before words ever dare to. And here is what they are beginning to understand: this connection is not fading. Time is not weakening it. Distance is not dissolving it. If anything, every day they spend trying to suppress what they feel only sharpens their awareness of you. You occupy more space in their heart now than before. More than they intended. More than they planned. More than they know how to explain. And that realization is changing the way they see everything. There was a moment last night, brief but powerful, when they stopped resisting completely. A moment when they let themselves feel the truth without excuses. Without distractions. Without pretending. And in that moment, they admitted something privately they may not be ready to say publicly: they want you more than they should. More than they expected. More than feels safe. That confession, even if only whispered to themselves in silence, changed everything. Because once a person becomes honest with themselves about desire, the next stage begins. Action. Maybe not immediately. Maybe not dramatically. But something starts moving. Walls begin cracking. Guarded hearts begin softening. Careful distance becomes harder to maintain. And the person who once held back suddenly starts looking for reasons to come closer. Stay till the end. Because the shift happening in them now is only the beginning. You are entering a phase where their restraint will not last much longer. They may continue acting composed on the surface. They may continue pretending things are normal. But underneath, their emotions are building. Their longing is building. Their curiosity about what this could become is building. And eventually, all inner pressure demands release. The truth inside them will seek expression one way or another. So if you have been wondering why their energy feels different lately, why the tension between you seems stronger, why their attention keeps circling back even when they try to act unaffected. This is why. Last night was not just another night for them. It was a turning point. A private moment of surrender. A silent acknowledgement that your presence has become deeply embedded in their heart. They may not confess today. They may not reveal everything tomorrow. But understand this clearly. A person does not secretly seek someone they feel nothing for. A person does not revisit memories of someone who means little. A person does not wrestle with their own emotions in the quiet of night unless the connection has already reached deeper than they planned. You have touched something real inside them. Something powerful. Something they can no longer dismiss. And now, whether they realize it or not, they are being pulled toward a choice. Continue hiding, or finally move closer. Continue resisting, or admit what has already become obvious in their heart. Continue pretending, or risk vulnerability for something that could change everything. That choice is approaching faster than they think. Because attraction may begin with fascination, but when it deepens into emotional attachment, silence becomes unbearable. And they are getting very close to that point. Very close. What they felt last night did not disappear when morning came. It followed them into today. It stayed with them. It is still with them now. And the next thing they do may reveal more than even they intended. What they are trying so hard not to show, is beginning to show anyway. Because once someone has spent an entire night wrestling with thoughts of you, the morning after never feels ordinary again. They wake up carrying the same emotions they tried to bury, only now those feelings have weight. They follow them through the day. Into every distraction. Into every conversation. Into every quiet pause where your memory slips back into focus without warning. And that is exactly what is happening to them now. They are moving through their day pretending to be normal while internally replaying everything they felt in secret, and the effort it takes to hide that truth is exhausting them more than they expected. Something in them has shifted from passive attraction into active longing. There is a difference. Attraction notices. Longing remembers. Attraction enjoys your presence. Longing aches in your absence. And what they are experiencing now is no longer the simple thrill of chemistry, it has become the deeper ache of wanting more than they currently have access to. They are beginning to understand that seeing you is not enough anymore. Hearing from you is not enough anymore. Brief moments and surface conversations are not enough anymore. Their heart wants depth now, closeness now, certainty now. And that realization unsettles them, because desire becomes dangerous when it starts asking for something real. But here is what makes this even more intense: they do not know whether you fully realize your effect on them. They wonder if you can see through their composure. They wonder if you notice the hesitation in their voice when they speak to you. They wonder if you feel the tension underneath their calm exterior. They wonder if your intuition has already picked up on what their words keep avoiding. And that uncertainty has them overthinking everything. Every interaction. Every glance. Every delayed reply. Every subtle shift in your energy. They are reading between lines that may not even exist, because when someone cares deeply, even silence starts to feel loaded with meaning. There was a moment today, or there will be very soon, when they stop in the middle of whatever they are doing and your name enters their mind for no obvious reason. And instead of pushing the thought away like before, they sit with it. They let it linger. They ask themselves questions they have been avoiding. Why does this person affect me so much? Why do I keep returning to them mentally? Why does their absence create a kind of emptiness I cannot explain? Why does it feel like no matter how much I try to move on emotionally, something keeps pulling me back? These are not casual thoughts. These are the questions people ask when their heart is no longer detached. And while they may not confess this directly, part of them has already started imagining how you would react if they became more honest. Would you pull closer, or step back? Would you welcome their vulnerability, or make them regret showing it? Would you admit you feel the same, or leave them exposed? That fear is the only thing slowing them down now. Not lack of feeling. Not confusion. Fear. Because the stronger the attraction becomes, the more terrifying vulnerability feels. It is easy to flirt. Easy to hint. Easy to maintain mystery. But to reveal genuine desire? To admit someone matters? That requires courage many people struggle to find. Still, the heart can only stay silent for so long before it starts betraying itself. And theirs is beginning to betray them in ways they cannot fully control. Their attention toward you is becoming more obvious. Their emotional reactions around you are becoming harder to regulate. They may act strangely protective. More curious than usual. More affected by your presence than before. They may suddenly remember small details about you no one else notices. They may bring up things you mentioned once in passing. They may create reasons to start conversations that seem random on the surface but are not random at all. These are not accidents. These are signs of someone whose heart is orbiting around you whether they mean for it to or not. Don't skip this part. Because there is something deeper beneath all of this. Their attraction is not just physical. It is not only about how you look, though they are undeniably drawn to that too. It is your energy. Your essence. The way you make them feel when you are near. The way your presence stirs peace and chaos in them at the same time. The way they feel more awake around you, more aware, more emotionally present than they are with most people. You awaken parts of them that had gone quiet. And once someone experiences that kind of connection, ordinary interactions with others start feeling empty by comparison. That is part of what disturbed them last night. Not just the fact that they wanted you, but the realization that what they feel for you is becoming incomparable. They have tried to rationalize it. Downplay it. Explain it away. Yet no matter what they tell themselves, their emotions keep returning stronger. Because some connections do not weaken through distance. They intensify in reflection. The more space they have to think, the more undeniable your significance becomes. And now they are caught in an inner conflict they cannot ignore. One part of them wants to remain careful, composed, strategic. Another part wants to stop pretending and simply tell you everything. To admit that you occupy their thoughts more than you know. To admit that last night they searched for some small way to feel close to you because the craving for your energy became too strong to suppress. To admit that they have imagined what it would be like to finally stop holding back. To finally cross the line between subtle tension and open truth. They want that more than they are comfortable admitting. But before they act, they are watching. Observing. Waiting for reassurance. Looking for signs that the door is open. Looking for evidence that if they move toward you, they will not move alone. Because while desire gives courage, uncertainty breeds hesitation. And right now they are trying to determine whether what they feel is one-sided, or whether you are feeling this magnetic pull too. You may notice them becoming bolder in subtle ways. Their eye contact may linger longer than before. Their messages may carry more emotional warmth. Their curiosity about your personal life may deepen. Their jealousy may surface in quiet, indirect ways they try to hide. Their attention may become more focused, more intentional, more impossible to dismiss. This is not coincidence. This is the natural progression of someone losing the ability to keep their feelings compartmentalized. And beneath everything, beneath the longing, the attraction, the hesitation, there is one truth they are slowly accepting: they do not just want fleeting moments with you. They want significance. They want to matter to you. They want to know they are not the only one lying awake replaying tension-filled moments and wondering what all of this means. They want confirmation that what they feel is not fantasy. That it is mutual. That you feel the electricity too. Because once attraction turns emotional, secrecy becomes painful. And that pain is pushing them toward a breaking point. Soon, something will happen, perhaps small, perhaps subtle, that changes the rhythm between you. A conversation with unexpected honesty. A glance that lingers too long to ignore. A message sent in a moment of courage. A confession disguised as casual honesty but carrying much more beneath the surface. However it happens, the distance between what they feel and what they show is shrinking. They cannot keep carrying this much desire in silence forever. Last night was only the awakening. Today is the aftermath. And what comes next is the moment their restraint begins to crack in ways even they may not be prepared for. There comes a point in every hidden connection when tension becomes too heavy to remain unspoken, and they are approaching that point faster than they realize. Because after everything they felt last night, after everything they carried into today, something inside them is no longer satisfied with distance. The fantasy of staying composed is beginning to lose its appeal. Pretending not to care is becoming more exhausting than simply telling the truth. And when a person reaches that stage, their energy changes. You can feel it before anything is ever said. The atmosphere between you grows thicker, the silence becomes louder, even ordinary moments start carrying the weight of something unspoken. They are starting to imagine scenarios now. Not daydreams in passing, real possibilities. They wonder what would happen if they finally let their guard down around you. If they stopped filtering every word. If they allowed their eyes to say what their mouth keeps hiding. If they admitted that this connection has affected them more deeply than they planned. They picture your reaction over and over, hoping for warmth, fearing rejection, craving certainty. And that internal rehearsal tells you everything. No one mentally prepares for a confession unless the desire to confess is already alive inside them. What makes this even more powerful is that they are no longer merely drawn to your beauty or your presence, they are drawn to how you make them feel about themselves when they are near you. Around you, something in them awakens. Confidence rises. Vulnerability surfaces. Parts of their personality they keep hidden from others begin trying to emerge. You make them want to be more honest, more open, more emotionally real. That is rare. Many people create attraction. Very few create transformation. And they are beginning to realize that being around you does not just excite them, it changes them. That realization is why they keep coming back in thought even when they try not to. Because you are not simply a person they like, you have become a feeling they cannot replicate elsewhere. They have searched for distractions, tried to occupy themselves with other things, other people, other priorities. Yet somehow everything leads back to you. Back to your energy. Back to your memory. Back to the question they cannot stop asking themselves: why does this feel deeper than it should already? Don't skip this, because the answer may be simpler than they expect. Sometimes the heart recognizes significance before the mind can explain it. Sometimes a connection arrives before logic has language for it. And that is what has unsettled them most. They cannot rationalize you away. They cannot reduce this to mere attraction anymore. If it were only physical, it would have faded by now. If it were only curiosity, distraction would have solved it. But this has persisted, intensified, expanded. That means it is becoming something far more personal. And with that realization comes a dangerous temptation. They are starting to wonder what it would feel like if they stopped resisting altogether. If they let themselves pursue you with honesty. If they allowed the tension between you to finally become real instead of implied. If they crossed from hidden longing into visible action. That thought excites them, but it also shakes them, because once a person acts on feelings like this, there is no returning to emotional neutrality. Everything changes after truth enters the room. You may notice them becoming braver soon. Not recklessly bold, but unmistakably different. The restraint in their energy will soften. Their words may carry more meaning. Their compliments may become more personal. Their attention may feel less accidental and more intentional. They may test the waters with honesty wrapped in humor, seriousness disguised as playfulness, vulnerable statements masked as casual remarks. Listen carefully when that happens. People often reveal their truth in softened forms before they are ready to say it directly. And there is something else they may never admit aloud. Part of what overwhelmed them last night was the realization that they are jealous of anything that takes your attention away from them. Not in a possessive or unhealthy way, but in the quiet, aching way people feel when they secretly wish they occupied more of someone's heart than they currently do. They think about who else has your time. Who else makes you smile? Who else gets access to the version of you they long for? And that thought stirs emotions in them they were not prepared to feel. Because jealousy does not come from casual interest. It comes from attachment. That attachment is what is driving the next phase of this story. They are no longer asking themselves whether they feel something. They know they do. Now the only question left is whether to keep hiding it, or risk everything by letting you see it. And understand this: when someone reaches that crossroads, hesitation does not last forever. Eventually the fear of losing the opportunity becomes greater than the fear of vulnerability. Eventually the thought of staying silent hurts more than the possibility of rejection. Eventually desire outweighs caution. They are nearing that threshold now. Very soon, you may witness a version of them you have not seen before. More direct. More emotionally present. More transparent. More unable to disguise what has been building beneath the surface for so long. Their restraint is wearing thin, and the truth has a way of surfacing precisely when people can no longer contain it. So if the energy between you has felt charged lately, if eye contact lingers longer, if the atmosphere shifts when you are near, if their behavior seems more intense, more thoughtful, more emotionally tuned to you than before. Trust what you are sensing. Something real is unfolding beneath the surface. Something they are struggling to keep hidden. Something that began as attraction, deepened into longing, and is now transforming into the desire for something undeniable. Because the secret of last night was never just that they could not resist thinking about you. It was that in the quiet of that moment, they finally realized they do not want to keep pretending this is casual. They do not want distance. They do not want half measures. They do not want almost. They want more. More of your presence. More of your time. More of your heart. And the closer they come to admitting that truth to themselves, the closer they come to showing it to you. The next chapter between you will not feel like the last. Because once someone admits in secret that they want you this deeply, it is only a matter of time before their actions begin to reveal what their silence no longer can.